Luka Nation, episode 621 of Lucas Tigers and Bronzo Mai. Shaping up to be a really interesting day. A really interesting day. Cage
It's
called me this
Friday.
morning. He said, "We got a box of zero cool D friends. Why don't we open it? And why don't we open it on whatnot?" So, shaping up to be really interesting. Who knows what's inside that box? Maybe there's a one of one black, very, 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 very lucky black cat. Who knows what's in there? So, it's going to be a fun day. And hopefully, you guys listening get some value from today's episode. That's why you guys tune in. That's why we're getting over 800, close to 1,000 listens on YouTube alone. Last week we got over, what was it, our third most listened to week in history. So
You know what I think it is? I think it's your card letter usage. I'll sometimes say like, "Hey guys, this is why you got to check it out on YouTube. Andrew's doing something funny," or when we pull up a card. So right now you look like a nun. So people on YouTube are getting treated.
Sometimes
to you.
I need to be in like
nun.
it's like my those like very, what are they called? The blankets, the heavy blankets.
Yeah, like a weighted blanket.
Yeah, a weighted blanket.
Makes you need to be in a weighted blanket. You're feeling safe now in your hoodie mellow.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, I mean, people like I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert.
People don't know. They definitely don't. But they're gonna find out. I went to the PO box today. That was an interesting thing. I left. People had to hold the door for me. I had these huge boxes. Just everybody sending cards for the SGC grading that we're doing now. So send your cards. We're gonna have a whole bunch of SGC group sub. We'll send those off. Lots of folks doing that. If you need our PO box, check it out in Discord or just send us a message. We'll give you all the instructions what you need to do to send your cards for SGC grading. And yeah, man, we're having some fun. Getting a lot of fun comments about my performance as Drake. The champagne
I watched that video
poppy.
at least 10 times today.
It's funny.
You're funny.
It's like, there's little subtle, song drops in there. Anybody who watches the little video, we got clips up. It's on my page, on Andrew's page, on the podcast page. Count how many Drake songs you can catch me saying just in that little clip. I'm curious to see how many you guys are able to catch. Andrew drops one in too. So you can count Andrew's also if you like. But he doesn't try to hide it. He doesn't he says, he asked me how I'm going to say this particular one. Andrew's, he's about as subtle as a bull in a china shop, folks. It's good stuff.
Straightforward. I have a dry sense of humor. Maybe a little bit boring at times too.
He's straightforward. He's straightforward, guys. So yeah, I mean, listen, interesting day. End to another week. You had a fun day of March Madness yesterday. Kentucky losing was a pretty big upset. One of the 4 or 5 biggest upsets from a point perspective in March Madness history. I think that Kentucky was an 18.5-point favorite, and they lost to St. Peter's. I saw an interesting stat that you were able to make big money on St. Patrick's Day if you bet Notre Dame, St. Peter's, and St. Mary's, a 3-team parlay on St. Patrick's Day. It was a pretty funny little note there. They all kind of hit.
I think the upsets are exciting, but the quality of basketball is so low.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, half the time they're just chucking up bricks.
So
even from the
sort of like
line.
The Lakers.
It is. What do you think of the Lakers?
Did you see what Patrick Beverley and Karl Anthony Towns did when Westbrook threw up that air ball? You got to find that little video clip. Karl Anthony Towns grabs the rebound and he's like looking around, like where were you shooting? Or like, is there a window open? Like the air, like the wind blew that. And Pat Beverley's like, he's trash. He's garbage. He's coming up the court yelling, he's trash. I
gotta be honest, man. Westbrook very much confuses me because his whole career he was like this tough competitor, right? Shit talking, tough guy, high flyer. He would dunk on you, he would flex on you. That was his brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's so sensitive that you can't call him Westbrook.
Let me ask you something. Does this matter to the fan? Is basketball so untouchable now that it doesn't make a difference? And let me give 2 examples. One, you got a guy like him coming out and basically saying the fans are being mean to me. Do fans turn on him? And then I'll take one step further. Do you gain fans, lose fans? When you have that being, hey, you can hurt his feelings, right? Don't hurt Westbrook's feelings. Be nice to him. At the same time, You got a close game in Brooklyn, Dallas, and the Nets going back and forth. And the fans, who are all in New York, especially in Brooklyn, they're all amateur coaches. Some of them think they could actually coach. And, it's coming down to it. And one of the fans, close, probably paid a pretty penny for his seat, close enough to yell towards Kevin Durant, yells at Kevin, "Hey, Kevin, you got to take this game over." To me, that sounds like good advice. Pretty sound advice, like the kind of advice Steve Nash should probably be giving Kevin Durant in a game where Kyrie's not playing and it's coming down to it. And wouldn't you know it, that Durant did take a shot at the end to give him a lead, right? And, it just so happens Dinwiddie wins. But instead of, doing nothing, right, which I'm sure most NBA players would do, ignore the fan, or, saying, yeah, I got you, or, shaking his head, something, the guy says, "Kevin, you need to dominate this game. You need to take over this game." He tells the fan, you need to sit down and shut the F up. Like, vocal, loud, so you can hear it, it's clipped. Does that matter? Does that make him cooler? Does that make him more endearing to fans? The other day when they were playing in Orlando, one of the Orlando Magic fans yelled to Kevin Durant, "Kevin, you look great in blue." And he's like, "No, never happening." He yells back to the fans. I mean, we're at a point now, I guess, where I'm saying, and I'm curious to hear what your thought is. We're at a point now where we're saying it used to be a fan-driven sport. These guys, the athletes didn't make so much money that they could just be like, "I don't care. Like, I'm set for life, as are my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids. They're making so much money it doesn't make a difference." It used to be, a fan walked up to you on the street, you had to be nice. That was the guy who was buying a ticket. That was the guy who was going to pay, your salary. Tickets it wasn't TV. It wasn't all that, crazy money. Also, these guys previously, they made money selling autographs and doing shows and that kind of stuff where, you want people to not hate you. This way they want your autograph. I mean, Kevin Durant's making money on his autograph. I'm sure he's got a contract with card companies to do it, whether he tells fans to F off or not. So does it matter?
So I watched, you're going to hate me for saying this, but I watched the JJ Redick Luka Doncic interview today. And the reason I like those interviews, the reason I like those interviews.
What movie did I tell you to watch? Gladiator, the boxing movie. There was another one I told you to watch today.
Something Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. Yes,
Distinguished Gentleman. Funny movie. But instead, you watch JJ Redick. So you have a thing for JJ Redick. It's okay.
The reason I like that,
not the worst looking guy.
The reason I like that conversation is because player interviews respect former players in a different way, so they could open up in a different sense. Okay. And they talked about how the American athlete, specifically in the NBA, has become so high maintenance relative to the European athlete. Like, if you look at Luka, you look at Doncic, if you look at Luka, you look at Jokic, you look at Giannis, they're pretty low maintenance if you look at them. Like, they're not, like, Luka has fun with the way he plays. He has fun with the fans. He always is talking with them, interacting with them. Is he not?
He's very low maintenance. He gets his hair cut at Supercuts.
Literally.
His fade looks terrible. I mean, I shouldn't talk. This is getting unruly here, but still.
We're the American athlete. This is their words, not mine. They need a little bit more pampering. They need a little nurturing. You can't say things that are too mean to them. You can't. I mean, Westbrook's had so many run-ins with fans. Like, fans can't say anything right to him. One guy said Westbrook, and he almost charged him in the stands.
I know. Like, LeBron had to go get the ref and throw fans out. I don't know what the fan said. I'm sure it wasn't great. But Durant was told by a fan, "Take the game over." I mean, like, what's so bad about that?
It's really, really, really fascinating to me. I think it's because they have so much money. And when you have so much money, what do you got to lose? You're taken care of, right? And I mean, it happens now with Osaka in tennis. It happened with Kyrgios last night playing versus Nadal. Osaka got so upset by what a fan said to her. She went and she took over the microphone from the judge to ask the fan to stop being mean to her and started crying. This is someone who won the like we've now embraced and you see all these posts with like mental health and athletes are people too. We've like embraced like athletes being babies in a way and being sad about what people say. The reason you get so much money, and maybe people will disagree with me, is because you have to deal with a different level of pressure playing at that level. You don't get to say, "Hey, pay me all the big money." but don't bring on any of the pressure. Don't bring on any of the criticism. Rise up to
All
it.
right.
Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Just because a fan says something to you, I mean, at the end of the day, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. They're there. It's part of
I've never
the
heard that before. Say
experience.
that again. What is it? Sticks and stones?
Words can break your bones, but words can never hurt you.
Mm.
So,
a good one.
you know, English was my second language.
Yes.
That was one of the first statements or like the things you would learn as a kid. First, second grade. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you.
That's
So
like
this
if somebody's being mean to you. Just words, you know?
It's just words.
Just words.
That was the 90s.
All right, Kevin.
Now
Kevin Durant.
you
Don't
get
be
paid
so-
80 million, 100 million, and a fan can't say anything right to you, or you know you're going to either charge him or you're going to tell him to shut the fuck up. Or I think people are the today's athlete is a little bit too coddled. I really do believe that.
All right.
I'll lead it right into my play. Someone I've been really trying to figure out as a athlete, you know, because
Sadiq Bey, by the way, give yourself a pat on the back. You said Sadiq Bey 4 or 5 days ago and gave Detroit like a little credit. I know it was like a minor league game and it was like an NCAA game, but you said Sadiq Bey and Kate Cunningham are going to be an amazing combination. They're great.
Those games, the Magic Detroit game last night was actually more to it than people realized. It's a lot of young players. It was like a rising stars game that actually meant a lot. So
yeah, Franz Wagner. Remember I gave him
Franz Wagner.
Awesome.
But there's a reason they put that one game on last night. It's actually I was upset Cade didn't play, but it was a lot of up and coming talent playing against each other that played against each other.
Dude's dropped 51. He did 51 points. Nobody else is on here talking about go buy Sadiq Bey cards. You know, man, 51. All right, so give yourself some credit.
They're going to be a really interesting backcourt, Cage. All right, pat on my back.
Yep, there you go. Little pat.
You invest in the talent, but you also want to understand the mindset, right? The player behind the talent. And someone that I think is really difficult to figure out is Luka, right? Like, is he a pretty boy? Is he competitive? Is he tough? You know, what is his demeanor like? Because when you watch him play, Luka Magic, man, that's the stuff he does out there. It's like kind of Bird-esque, right? But then you also watch him and he's chatting shit to Kevin Garnett. He makes a 3-pointer and he looks at Ray Allen when they play Boston for the retirement night. So he's got this demeanor. I got to tell you, and I listened to the interview. You could tell he doesn't want to open up yet. Like you could tell he's got a chip on his shoulder. You could tell that he didn't really talk much in that interview at all. He didn't say much. And I think it's because he doesn't want to give away his secrets. But the one thing he said, and he said it probably 4 or 5 times, like, dude, I'm just competitive. I've gotten in a lot of fights with people because I am competitive, but I just want to win in everything I do. And I think when you see Michael Jordan, you know that, right? You're like, you see Shaq, it's a little bit easier to see their competitive nature, right? Because it's a little more in your face. Luka, because of the way he acts and plays, you might think he's like kind of a pretty boy, right?
I mean, yeah, you can see it. You can see that. He complains a little to the refs and stuff like that. Doesn't like getting hit. But yeah, you can see it.
But I am questioning if he's going to be around for a long time, a very long time. And I wonder if people realize that this Mavs team is now tied for 4th, and they're 24-8 in their last 32 games. And maybe
it's funny because he doesn't get mentioned enough for MVP.
I don't think he should. I don't think he should yet. But I'm wondering what his future holds, right? Because all modern NBA has been killed recently, right? Other than Ja Morant, Tatum's up a little bit, but Luka cards are down. Luka cards are down a lot right now, Cage.
Mm-hmm. Except for the real high end stuff.
Yes, which are one of ones that have different types of buyers. Yes, but the retail buyers are not buying Luka; they're buying Ja, they're buying Tatum.
Yeah, until next year, when they're selling the Ja and Tatum when they have the ankle injuries and Luka's averaging a 30-point triple-double.
Do you think Luka's a play right now? Because I certainly
It depends on the card. It depends on the card. You know what it goes back to? It doesn't matter really who the play is. It goes back to what is the card, right? And it go back to, I think we should probably do a whole episode on this. You know, maybe with card ladders help, maybe with some data of card ladder, the whole deal. But, you know, are base/silver investable? You know, and then maybe we can do a subsect of it, you know, will they be investable again? But you can't invest in the 18s, 19s, 20s. You know what I mean? Like you can't invest in the ones that are Luka, Trey, Zion, Ja. Because even Ja, who's having a great, you know, year, his base card is, you know, it's Hasn't really moved the way you would
why is
expect
the
it to be.
silver not investable? Bob 2000.
I don't
Is
know.
that too many?
This is the question. This is the question, right? I mean, I don't know whether it's investable or not. I mean, the silvers are comparable to, remember a conversation you hate, but talk about the Giannis base and like a Tim Duncan Topps Chrome base. Those have 2,000, 2,500. You would think maybe the Luka, those silvers, when they are done, they're going to have comparable pops to those guys. Maybe a little more, especially when you factor in like BGS and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, is it investable? It's definitely a comparable card. But we'll go back to the same kind of stuff, right? I mean, the Tim Duncan card we gave was like $500 on a pop of like 2,500, right? How much is the Luka Silver? How many pop? What's the pop?
Pop 2000. There's obviously there's probably a decent amount of 9.5s, 845. So let's call it a pop 3,000. But this is the market. Like, look at this over the last 6 months. It's down over 50%, Cage.
Yeah, a little more of a dip there. A little more of a dip there at the end too. It looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
so
odd.
my question is, what gives? Is this just free fall forever? Have we hit a floor?
I don't know. It looks like we hit a floor, but then you have a little bit of a dip there at the end. Right? Honestly, it's not going to free fall forever, right? Even the people who are collector, we got to be a collector. You got to buy that rare cards. Even those people are the same people who tell you that, fanatics coming in, the big money coming in, you name it, it's all going to have one thing, and that's we're going to add more people. We're going to 3x, 10x. The collecting base is going to grow tremendously. I've always been slightly skeptical of that because in order to grow the overall size, you have to maintain the people you have and then add new ones. And usually you're adding new ones by word of mouth and positive advertisement for the people who are participants in it. And if the last growth participants, the last 10, 20, 30% of people that we added to the hobby are all people who are now underwater and losing money and are down 50% on their Luka cards and whatnot, then not only are they not bringing new people in, they're leaving themselves. It makes it harder to, think it's reasonable to say, well, we have this many people in the hobby now. We're going to have 3 times as many people in a couple of years. If that does come to fruition and we do have a larger collecting base over time, then yeah, that Luka and all the other cards can see a spike because there'll be more demand for them.
I just had a thought.
Nice. I like when that happens.
Is Luka this generation's Griffey?
Well, you can't make that call yet, right? I mean,
in terms of cards,
his career, right?
He came out.
Right.
He came out. He is the darling of the hobby. He's the chase card. He's who everyone wanted. You could have got him cheap, but there's a lot of his cards out there.
Honestly, it could be him. It could be Zion if Zion comes back because Griffey also had some injury stuff depending on what he did. Like Griffey was a huge generational thing. Luka, he's great, but he wasn't like this can't miss LeBron #1 pick straight out Zion type. It's real difficult, man. If you watch Griffey 89 through 94, he was just improving every year. And 94, baseball gets in its own way again. They had a strike. He had 40 home runs in August when they stopped playing. He was going to make an assault on the 60, which was the record at the time.
Before steroids. In August?
Yeah, they stopped playing in 94. No World Series, no nothing.
Just
the work stoppage. It was a strike. No, it was a strike. That was the last time they had a labor stoppage that they had now, but they actually missed games. Yeah, they went on strike.
Why would they do that in the middle of the season?
That's just what happened, man. I think they figured it was going to be. Yeah.
Do you ever wonder, I'm getting to the age and I wonder how adults make decisions. I'm like,
so remember we talked about Tony Gwynn, right? He was batting .394. That was that season. He didn't get a chance to finish it. Griffey.
What do you mean they just stopped playing?
They stopped playing. They went on strike.
Dude, I should have tried that when I worked at corporations.
They came back and you tried it. Well, they did. They put you on strike, unpaid strike. It's called get out and no, you can't keep your swing line stapler. So they came back in 95 and he went out there and made a catch in center field and broke his wrist. And he came back and he's hitting home runs, but you start doing that stuff. You start getting injuries, little nagging stuff, a broken wrist, a back, and it takes its toll. It's kind of what I think is going to happen with Ja.
Ja hasn't broken his wrist. You're talking about Tatis.
you know what? Well, Tatis is another example, but Tatis hasn't done yet. You know
The
what
thing with
Griffey did.
the thing with Ja is his team is good. Like his team is as good without him as they are with him. They're not going to go as far without him, but dude, that team is solid. That team is one of the best, up and coming 12-man rotations in the league. Jaren Jackson Jr. is so good, man. Desmond Bain is so good. I don't know what that has to do with Ja, but I want to make sure those guys get love because they do win a lot of games without Ja. Zaire Williams, man, is also tough.
So your play is what? Luka?
Luka.
Luka,
My play is Luka, dude. His market. So here's the thing. There used to be a debate: Trey versus Luka.
What? That's the tough part.
There used to be a debate: Trey versus Luka, right?
Yeah.
Have we nipped that debate in the butt?
No, because even when it was at its peak, the debate was: would you rather have 3 Trey Silvers or 1 Luka Silver? Would you rather have 4 Trey Silvers? It was like, depending on how they're playing, it's 3-4, 2.5 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, and I think we're still in that exact range. I mean, I don't think anybody ever said Trey was the better player or Trey was worth more, but I think that they were talking about how whenever Trey got to 1/4 of Luka's prices, Trey was a buy, and then all of a sudden it got to Trey was 40% of Luka's prices, and then Luka was a buy. I don't remember a time where anybody was saying, Trey is going to be pricier than Luka. But yeah, but it's a draft class thing, right? And eventually Edwards and LaMelo will have that conversation, I guess.
I think the Silver's a buy. I think the Silver's a buy because here's what I think is going to happen in the West. I think the West is actually more open than people realize, right?
Okay.
Suns are a little bit banged up with Chris Paul. He's going to be coming back, but you don't really know. Again, it's the same. Griffey broke his wrist. Mm-hmm. He comes back, but what percentage, right? So Chris Paul comes back. Suns are number 1 team, no question about it. Warriors.
Griffey came back, by the way, after he broke his wrist in 95 to playoffs against the Yankees. 5 games, he had 5 home runs and scored the winning run, going first to home in as fast as I've ever seen anyone run.
Wow.
So he had a hell of a series.
Nice. That's
took the Yankees
that's
out in 5.
Incredible. Really?
Yeah, 5 home runs in 5 games.
Curry. You don't know what's going to happen with that Warriors team. I think it's fair to say that the Mavs are the 3rd best team. You're probably sitting there thinking the Grizz are, but the Mavs are 3-0 versus the Grizz. So
the West is wide open. If that's your point, you are 100% right.
And dude, you just watch this guy. I'm like, he's made for big time games. Like, if the West is wide open, the Mavs are defending so well. Can they not make a run? Can you not see Luka in the Western Conference Finals? Can you not see, forget even all of that? Are you going to see flashes of brilliance during this postseason run? I say yes. Yeah, and I think that $2,500, $2,600 Luka Silver is going to be a $3,500 card during playoff time. If they make it to the Western Conference Finals, that goes to $4,000. If they make it to the finals, that's $5,000 card. In my opinion, my humble opinion, right there. And I think we see game winners. I think we see 40-point triple doubles. I think the guy's made for the big time performances, big time games. He loves it. He's been doing this since he was 13 years old. He is a special breed of talent that I don't think we've seen in a long time. And with the West as wide open as it is, the Mavs playing as well as they are, Spencer Dinwiddie's a big ad. I think Tim Hardaway might come back and give them that 3rd or 4th option. I like Reggie Bullock. I think the Mavs team can make a run and surprise some people. And then you're going to look back and you're going to be like, what's so surprising? This guy is incredible. I mean, no, I don't think the Nuggets are very good. I love Jokic. I think Jokic is right there with Luka. I just don't think the Nuggets are a good team.
And you don't know what's going to happen, right? Murray's ramping up activities. Maybe he's going to play, right? There's still talk about Michael Porter Jesus and those guys. Who knows what's going to happen there?
The Nuggets are what the Nuggets are. We've seen the exact same team the last 3-4 years. Jokic is better. The supporting cast is worse.
This is, it's interesting stuff. I'm trying to think where I would go, right? I mean, I don't think anybody is really, although the draft's coming up, I think anybody's really looking at football cards right now. A lot of football news. I think everybody's looking at football cards right now. And, I want to give a football play and maybe some bargain stuff, but maybe, just you understand why. But you can get a Prism rookie of him if you want. If you want, this is, light stuff. I think Kid Goodwin from Tampa Bay, the wide receiver, is going to have a Cooper Cup type year this year coming up. And remember, he was injured. So he was out most of last year, so his price is already down. Plus, they didn't really do much in the playoffs. They were unceremoniously exited. Tom Brady didn't win his Super Bowl. But, Brady's coming back. And Brady's coming back, I don't want to say with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, but I think the NFC is about as weak as it's been in a long, long time. You even just didn't get Deshaun Watson in the division. I don't know who's quarterbacking the Panthers. I don't know who's quarterbacking the Saints. I don't know who's quarterbacking the Falcons. Not only do I think Brady has an easy road to the Super Bowl, but especially in his division, I think they're going to be eating people up. And I think in Tampa especially, you don't have Belichick there. Brady could basically do whatever he wants. And I think what he saw, I mean, listen, I didn't look at the numbers before this, but he saw Rodgers sign a 4-year contract. Did he do a little math and think that maybe if Rodgers plays at an MVP level for 3-4 years, that maybe some of his numbers might actually be touchable? Some of his touchdown numbers, some of his yards numbers, some of that stuff. Is it something that he thought about and said, you mentioned this last year, he's going out there for records, right? His path to a playoff and probably to the 1 seed or a bye this year is going to be easier than any year that he's had before, even that undefeated team, right, where he played in the Patriots. Yep. Because I just
and that's without adding any talent yet. We haven't heard.
Yeah, they may add exactly. They may add on the draft and free agent, but I mean, he'll have, this kid Godwin is just one of these awesome route runners. He'll come back healthy. His cards are beat up, and like I said, you saw it. People only like to bet on QBs and cards, but if you pick Cooper Cup cards at the beginning of last year and you sold them Super Bowl, you did just fine. Trust me.
For sure.
So. I think Brady's going to go out there looking to throw the ball all over the place, looking to put further distance between him and anybody else who plays the game in the future. His touchdown numbers, his yards numbers, all that stuff. I'm not saying he wants to set records so that they're never going to be broken before and ever again, because he started.
He wants to put distance between.
But I think it's important to realize that I think he's going out there to actually put up some numbers. He's not going to we didn't come here to take part. We came here to take over. Conor McGregor says,
you're seeing it with LeBron right now. You're literally seeing it with LeBron right now. He's trying to win the scoring title. Then he signs the ball. What did he sign on the ball, Cage?
30, first player. First player with 30,000, 10,000, 10,000. So
don't think that these guys don't pay attention to this. They definitely do. They know
the difference, though. I think is the West is really good, and the Lakers aren't. And I think Tampa Bay will be very good. And you have Rodgers without his best offensive weapon. I know there are people who live in Milwaukee who say that he's not their best offensive weapon. He clearly was. Highest paid wide receiver ever. I know a Raider fan, so I'm biased now. So take that with a chunk of cheese. They lost to Darius Smith. Everybody knew before this year they couldn't sign both of the Smiths. They call them the Smith brothers. They're not brothers. You knew you couldn't sign that whole defense. They knew they would have problems signing the whole offense. They tried to franchise tag, Devontae Adams. It just didn't work out for them. That team is not what it was last year. And sure, they could have the greatest draft and maybe bring people in. But what you have there is a little bit of dysfunction. Devontae wanted out. Why? Just read into it, right? He wanted his contract, right? And he probably would have gotten it if not for Rodgers. Rodgers coming in, signing a contract with $150 million guaranteed, and the cap hit that caused, it made it impossible for Devontae to sign there. I know the Packers said they were going to try to match the money that the Raiders gave, but if they did that, they couldn't have signed anyone else. They would have been completely hamstrung on the cap. But beyond that, I don't think you wanted to stay there. I think Rodgers could have structured his deal in a way where it allowed more people to be signed. And it sounds like the two of them weren't talking. And it sounds like Rodgers said, I'm going and getting my money. And Adams was like, well, if that's the way it's going to be, I'm going to go get mine somewhere else. It's business. Remember, it is a business decision.
Is it surprising to you? Think about it. We've always heard how selfish Rodgers is.
So it's not surprising, from that regard. But the Rams,
where
I mean,
stay with me.
yeah, shoot.
Brady came from New England, who did he bring with him?
Gronkowski.
So you got
Right.
so you got to give. I mean, these little subtle patterns that you picked up, like, wait, Rodgers didn't talk to Devontae before signing the contract, where he could have structured it in a way where they both came, right? Now you're thinking about your guys.
You could
There
try.
is that. There is that,
Yeah.
right?
And I mean, listen, so I don't think the Green Bay Packers are going to be that good this year. I'm sure they'll be fine. The NFC is weak. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think everything's great. But if I'm Tom Brady and Tampa, I'm not really afraid of them. Obviously, the Rams are the Super Bowl champs. They just lost Von Miller. They clearly can't sign everyone and bring everyone back. And that was a heck of a miraculous run they had there. I don't think it's something they can do again. I'm not a believer in Matthew Stafford, long term. It's a good team. But they obviously, their defense that they put together for a run there, it's going to be tough. Aaron Donald might retire.
He might retire. Odell's not going to come back that soon with the ACL.
Yeah.
Cooper's a G, but you expect him to take a step back at least. That was an incredible season. What else you got?
And then what else you have? Dallas. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about Dallas. Every time I say Dallas, you say how horrible they are. The NFC East is just miserable. So, they're going to walk. And I really do think that Brady's going to be out there trying to, put up stats, put up numbers. And when you have a receiver like this kid Godwin who can go down the field, go over the middle, you name it, he can put up a hell of a season. He could put up a Cooper Cup type season. And you could buy his rookies for nothing. Seriously, pennies on the dollar. Remember, because he's coming off of an injury. So, and he was real good before that. Him and Brady,
I think you guys would be foolish to think Brady doesn't know this stuff that we're talking about here. He'll look, he's like, wait a second. All the best quarterbacks are moving to the AFC. We put up a half decent season. We're going to be in the first seed. I'm going to put up monster numbers. Of course I'm coming back. I'd be a fool not to come back.
Yeah. Put another year's worth of numbers into the record books too. Make it harder for anybody else. Like you say with LeBron,
he knows the guys.
People playing for legacy. I was trying to think of other people you might be able to give. Believe it or not, there are probably some Mahomes cards out there that are buys right now. Because no one's talking about Mahomes, even in the AFC. And I still think he's the class of the AFC. People are talking about Aaron Rodgers. People are talking about Russell Wilson coming over to his division. People are talking about Justin Herbert. People are on Joe Burrow's balls. People are talking about Josh Allen. Their defense got better.
Let's stay on Brady. Why can't he have a record season, Cage? Why are Brady cards not a buy?
No reason. No, Brady could be a buy also. It's just I wanted to give a bargain play, which is why I said there's a lot of different ways to go. But I think Tampa is they're going to walk through the season. I really do. I mean, just think about how trash the NFC is.
This is really the equivalent of LeBron in the Cavs, on the Cavs.
LeBron in the East. Remember, he got to the finals 10 straight times. He didn't win every year, but he got to the finals 10 straight times. That's a great accomplishment. It's very difficult. It's very hard to do. But, when the East was...
because the West was stacked.
The East was pretty weak. And when the East is weak, it's easier to get there, right? And I think you're going to have that at least this year. You'll see more of the dominoes fall and pay attention. Obviously Deshaun Watson, that could have been interesting. But that's just another signing now in the AFC, right? I mean, think of the QBs. Who are the QBs in the NFC? I mean, obviously you have Rodgers,
in the NFC.
Dak.
So I pulled this up for a reason. So, I mean, you have the Cowboys, Eagles, Washington, Giants. So Dak, Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, and Daniel Jones. Packers, Vikings, Bears, Lions. Rodgers, Kirk Cousins,
Cousins,
Goff. You have no idea in the South with the Saints, Falcons, and Panthers. Falcons, Matt Ryan.
Darnold.
And then you have Kyler, Matt Stafford, Garoppolo, and Drew Lock.
Does Kyler scare you?
No.
I mean, Kyler, that team. He's like he may even hold out.
Kyler scares himself. He writes in all caps.
And Garoppolo, who knows if he's even going to play? There might be, Trey Lance coming out party over there. And that's a good team. Trust me. I know the Niners are a good team, but I expect them to take a step back this year also, I'm not fearful of any team in the NFC if I'm Tom Brady. And I really do believe that's a lot of the reason why he came back. Mike Evans is a play. I don't think he puts up the counting stats. I think he's more of like, your fade in the end zone touchdown guy. He caught some big touchdowns. Seems to miss some time with some nagging injuries. Godwin, I talked about him coming.
Can I tell you what I think
he's got to stay
happens?
healthy. Go ahead.
I think they shore up the defense, the secondary, which was their issue.
Yep.
Which you could do with not a ton of money. It still costs money to find good talent, but defense is where you can find some bargains. And Brady's good at this. And then I think there might be a big wide receiver that we don't know that goes there.
Maybe. I'd like to see them bring back. I mean, Gronkowski play. If Brady says come play. I like to see them with Gronkowski. It's a huge difference maker. I like to see him say he's playing. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. There's a draft. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could happen. But that team, as is, there's really not much standing in their way. So yeah,
I got to tell you,
could be a play.
And I don't know if this will happen, but I wonder if Julian Edelman comes out of retirement.
I mean, he's been away for a little while, right?
Yeah.
So,
dude, Julian Edelman and Brady needs that slot guy. Brady with a slot receiver is insane.
But I think Godwin can do that if he's healthy. I think
might be right.
And that's why I went in that direction with him. What else we got going on? Because we got our V-Friends break tonight. By the time most people are listening to this, that'll be
$20,000 box. It's literally going up $1,000 every hour.
It's nuts, and we're gonna sell it cheap.
I'm not.
People don't even realize.
I might pull the whatnot break. I might get greedy and say I just want all the money.
I mean, listen.
I've been changing my mind every hour.
I know you're all about value to our fans. There's no way that anybody's gonna be able to get into a V-Friends break like we're doing. We're gonna start the bidding at like $100 a slot, $1,000 for the box when the boxes are selling for over 10,000. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Value to our fans. What does value even look like?
That's a good question. It's a good question. Sometimes it looks like you in a hoodie. Value.
I think about it a lot. I definitely want to add value to our community.
Listen, I think we do. I think we do a good job. What else you got? There's a whole bunch of basketball tonight. You want to talk about March Madness? You want to talk about NBA? You want to talk about baseball? Luke Voigt got traded by the Yankees. The Yankees operation is run so miserably. I'm almost ashamed to be a fan, which I never thought I would say, ever. They do everything backwards. I mean, they traded for a third baseman. They didn't need a third base. They got rid of a third baseman who was making a significant amount less money and was under contract for a less amount of time. Then they need a shortstop. I guess they signed a light hitting one. They got 6 people to play first base, so they signed Rizzo, a first baseman. And then Luke Voigt becomes basically like expendable. So they just basically give him away for a bag of balls to the Padres. I don't even some pitching prospect.
Are you going to opening day?
No.
Why not?
I'd be embarrassed.
That's your tradition, man.
We stopped after COVID. We stopped when COVID happened. There was no opening day, so we stopped going. And then we didn't go last year because it was like the tickets were like they were only letting 1/10 of the people into the stadium, so it was like thousands of dollars to go. And honestly, the team is embarrassing. My kids have been asking me for years to can we become Met fans. We live closer to the Mets, and they like Mr. Met because he's got like a baseball for a head. So kids like that a little bit better, and it's a much more family-friendly environment. So maybe this year I'll let them be Met fans, and they can root for Max Scherzer. And
Yankees are in the Bronx. That's not family-friendly.
Well, the stadium isn't. The stadium doesn't have much for family. It's more of like a museum or a church. Whereas, I'm serious. It's like you got monuments and museums. Whereas I took my kids to a Met game, and they're playing wiffle ball in the outfield. And then we have Shake Shack. Yeah, no, they have
in the Met Stadium.
Yeah, in the stadium. Yeah, Shake Shack. They got smoke. They got all kinds of great stuff in there. It's all about the food. You know that, but it's they have a park. They got places for kids to run around and play. It's definitely much more of a family-friendly atmosphere in Citi Field than it is Yankee Stadium.
Giant Stadium was my favorite in SF. It's gorgeous, gorgeous stadium. I think that'd be a cool thing to do, just like go watch a game in every single stadium, try out the food.
I'd like to. When I travel, I try to go to games. I've seen a Padres game. The Dodgers played them.
Amazing.
And I saw a San Francisco Giants game. Actually, saw the Mets play San Francisco. And they have good crab cakes there. Let me tell you that much.
Crab cakes for football. How was the Padres stadium?
It was nice. It was nice. Food wasn't
San
so great.
Diego.
It
San
was
Diego.
nice. San
Amazing.
Diego. San Diego. You're saying it wrong. Santiago.
Barca.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it was full of Dodgers fans when I went. The Dodgers were playing Padres. It was full of Dodgers fans. Where else have I seen a game? That's it.
What's
That's
excited
Yankees.
me?
Oh, Philly. Philly. I saw a game in Philly.
Philly. Dude,
So the Dodgers play Philly. I've seen the Dodgers play a lot.
I was wrong. Philly is a shithole, man. I went back to the city for like one day. We got picked up by an Uber driver. His car smelled like blunts. He
Oh,
started.
you're allowed to like that.
I'm with my mom. She hates it.
So? Your mom doesn't like the smell of weed?
No, a car that smells like blunts. Blunts aren't just weed; they're tobacco too. They have this stench to them. The guy started he's like, "Oh, you're from Ukraine." He just started talking hella loud about like the war. Honestly, I had to tell him. I said, "Dude, can we just go to breakfast?"
You took Uber to breakfast?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Well, we had to do some errands in the city. Then we went there. Trash everywhere, boarded up windows. I was like, what was wrong with me? Why did I go to college in this town?
It's brotherly love.
The people are cool, ish.
You know when I gave up on Philly?
When
they moved the Rocky statue off the stairs there at the Spectrum. When they moved the statue and they kind of like moved it off to the side. They took it away from there. They moved it out of the Philadelphia
Isn't the statue
Spectrum.
at the art museum?
They moved it.
To the art museum.
Used to be like it was. You could be Rocky. You could run up the stairs. You know, and his statue's right there. You know, little Rocky right there. You know.
I think they still have that cage.
What, the statue?
Yeah,
they do, but it's not there. They moved it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not in the same spot. It's like if they it's like if they took the crack out of the Liberty Bell. You know, they patched it up and then said, "Here you go, guys. Here's the Liberty Bell." It's just not the same. You know, not where it was. Right? What else you got in Philly? What else is in Philadelphia? Yeah, Franklin Roosevelt. No, you got
my sister's
Benjamin
graduating
Franklin.
college next week. I think she actually finished, but she decided to go back for one more class, design class, to get her minor in design. So she's taking.
So she's not graduating.
No, she graduated, but she's taking one more credit to add the little word minor on her resume. So she gets all 24 credits for the minor.
All right. Well, listen, it means something, I guess, right? If she wants to put it on her resume, a minor in design.
Yeah.
You know, I have a major in underwater basket weaving and a minor in design. Works.
Yeah, I just said, why don't you just take on a client and design?
What's the major?
Marketing.
Marketing.
No, right. But you know what she's gonna be good at? She's gonna be like a culture person.
Culture.
You know how like corporate, you don't do much work. You're just really kind of like make sure everyone's like happy.
Yep. Yeah.
That's what 100%.
That's a big thing now. A lot less work being done. A lot less smiling. A lot more smiling.
Spearheading 2022 marketing initiatives, like these like big buzzwords and stuff.
I like it. Listen, a couple little public service announcements. Mint Collective, 1 week away. A week from today, I will already be walking the floor at Mint. Probably a week and a couple of hours. I'll be doing my signature series, talking about, you know, how to build up a collection. Me, Jay Lee. Who else is on that panel with me? There's a lot of people. Me and Jay Lee and Eric Myers from PWCC and a couple other people. And I believe, unless I put my foot in my mouth, Leighton, unless I put my foot in my mouth, I may also be moderating a panel on Saturday with some fun characters. So that could be awesome as well. We'll see where that works. But, you know, if you are heading there, send me a message. I'll meet up with you. You know, I'll bring some cigars. Hopefully, you know, I'm completely healthy. Give myself another week. Might as well smoke some cigars and make myself sick again. Woo! But
dude, Vegas is going to be fun. It's round 2 next weekend too.
Basketball games, right? There's all, you know, March Madness is back, and you know we got cards everywhere. It's going to be fun, and I heard you can gamble there in Vegas too. So you know that could be interesting. Maybe I'll put some bets on some stuff. Maybe I'll bet on every team that's the Tigers. Let's go Memphis.
Bucks to win the finals.
I logged in this morning and I put my I logged in like my bracket for Lucas Tigers, and it gives you are in 19,387,000. Like, wow, we had a lot of people filling brackets for the Tiger NFT, but that was
your
all
goal.
CBS.
Your goal was to
all...
fill in the bracket as poorly as you can, so you don't win.
And I have accomplished my goal. Listen, guys, we love you. We appreciate you listening. We hope you got a little bit of what Andrew likes to call value out of the episode. Maybe we'll put this up early, and some of you guys can hear it, and you'll be able to head over to Whatnot. If you listen to this, after that Whatnot break, hopefully we hit a huge 101 for one of our listeners. That would be awesome. And we'll see you at Mint Collective next week. Sunday night, we got collectible. We put the fractional report before the opening bell. Anything else? Anything else top of mind? SGC submissions. We're taking those, guys. If you want information, hit us in the Discord or just send us a message. We're doing a group sub for anybody who's interested in sending some cards into SGC. What else, dude? That's everything
for the Miami show.
Miami.
If anyone
wants
to,
show?
I think in May.
Okay.
If anyone wants to create a soccer tournament, kind of like a fun little 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5 co-ed tournament there, and they could help me. Maybe Vinegar, Polwax could help with that. If there's anyone that's interested in helping out with that, I think that'd be a kind of a fun experience.
If you played Andrew at Culture Collision in basketball and beat him, you have to now play him in soccer so he can beat you. This is where we're going with this, folks, right? Andrew does not like that he lost in basketball, so he's going to make you play him in soccer, where he has a significant advantage.
What's my advantage?
That you're a college soccer player?
I'm Jewish, I'm slow, and I'm unathletic. I've been trying to ask God, what advantages were you trying to give me here?
See, the problem is that people expect God to drop an oak tree in front of them. But he doesn't. He drops acorns. You just got to notice them. So what God gave you is me. You're welcome. Luka Nation, that's another episode.